and welcome to Week 5, Day 2. It's still Super Week here at the OPL, and we have another couple of great games of League of Legends coming your way. Hello, I'm Jake Spawn Tiberia. I'll be your host tonight. I'm joined by Jish, as well as T-Gun down the end of the desk. And let's start. We'll kick it off with the, it has to be said, Jish, disappointing performance for the guys, but I'm sure that, what's the mood of the camp like, I guess?
I think obviously everyone's a little bit disappointed. We came in really confident, and we all had high expectations for ourselves. We really did. Obviously, we didn't meet them, so it's just back to the drawing board, I guess.
And how are you going personally? Is everything all right? Not doom and gloom.
No, I'm actually in a terrific mood. Considering all things, I guess I'm happy to be here. Excited to see some pretty top quality games.
Yes, I'm super excited about it as well. And of course, T-Gun, you guys haven't played yet this Super Week. You've only got the singular game. It is going to be tomorrow. How are you feeling? How's the team going into that matchup?
Pretty good. Obviously not super excited because we haven't performed too well up until now, but pretty confident we can show at least, hopefully, what we think, we need to start showing to get to the gauntlet.
Of course, either T-Gun squad or Regicide will be picking up a victory tomorrow. However, let's have a look at yesterday's results before we push on to today's games. It was the Direwolves picking up a close 2-1 victory over Sin Gaming, maybe much closer than the Direwolves squad would have liked. And then Legacy came in and they just took care of business. They absolutely smashed the Chiefs. 2 games, they got it done, and they picked up all 3 points, putting them towards the top of the table now, equal with the Direwolves. Of course, we still have 2 more days of Super Week coming your way, so let's pull up today's schedule and actually have a look at that. It's going to be Abyss Esports taking on Avant Gaming first up in our best of 3, and then Team Regicide will take to Summoner's Rift against Sin to see whether they can pick up one of their much-needed victories. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Team Regicide will play up against T-Gun's TM Gaming before Legacy look to see if they can claim outright first with some more points against Abyss Esports. And this is such a super week because all of a sudden, the ladder is getting very interesting, boys. I mean, people are moving absolutely everywhere. What is it going to look like by the end of the week? It's most likely going to be Legacy outright first, correct?
Yeah, no, you have to assume Abyss haven't looked fantastic, coming this far into the Super Week. So, you would assume that, yeah, Legacy do claim out that outright first, and Direwolves take second.
And 2 or 3 points, T-Gun. What do you guys walk away with after this week?
We need all the points we can get, right? So hopefully 3. That's our goal.
Will you take the 2, or do you really want to trade?
I'd take the 2. I'm not going to, cry about it, but we need the 3.
Yeah, certainly do. All right, let's get into today's first game for you. It should absolutely be a bar burner. It is going to be Abyss Esports taking on Avant Gaming. And the reason I am so excited about this game is Abyss keeps saying they should not be losing against the sides they're losing to. But AV are pushing to be a legitimate 4th place or top 3 contender even in some people's books. This is a game, in my opinion, that AV have to take 3 points, otherwise it's a disappointment.
I think you're spot on. They came into the season just shouting to anyone that would listen that they are a top 4 team. And behind closed doors, they've sort of proven that to me in scrims without leaking too much. But they haven't shown that at the OPL. They've showed some shaky games. They've dropped games that they themselves have said they shouldn't have, and they just haven't looked very good. So if they are going to prove it, they need to do it right now. I
mean, they had a pretty good performance against Direwolves, I'd say, taking a game off Direwolves, then looking pretty convincing in the 3rd game, only to drop it. A pretty decent series. I think that they have looked a little bit better than their opening round performance, I think. But, yeah, I think vying for 4th place, it's a bit of a dream, I think, at this point. Not sure how realistic it is.
I think it's just their inconsistency. Like, you want to talk about the Direwolves series, they had 2 pretty back-and-forth games. They weren't exactly winning the first game the whole time, and then they capitalized on a mistake. Game 2 was an absolute shocker, just no other way to put it. And then Game 3 was pretty close the whole time too. So you have the 2 extremes, and they show that they can contest, but they can't do it consistently.
Okay, so when is this not good enough? When is, taking teams to 3 games, picking up a couple of scrappy points and being able to push the top teams not good enough, and they need to actually start winning these best of 3s cleanly?
Today. They're against Abyss, a team that, we're saying is probably 7th or even 8th maybe. And Abyss, they do have their strengths and stuff, but I would say that, as Avant, you really want to come in and take this 2-0.
All right, cool. And Abyss made a lot of changes, and that's what I want to focus on. Throughout this offseason, they replace their support player. They bring in Rosie, Kuda, and Gorn. They bench Frey onto the 2nd squad now. They bring back in Luch. Parbu had already replaced Pac-Man. 3 big changes for 3 supposed huge upgrades, but still a pretty shocking season so far. What the heck is going on with the squad? Is there anything that can make this team a contender?
Well, I'll start because I have experience with a lot of the players on the team, having been on Abyss previously. I do think all 3 were an upgrade. You might disagree, you might not, but I think the big problem is one they didn't address, which is shot calling or just things that we don't see on the screen. We can't hear what they're saying. We don't understand how the coach is trying to prepare them for games, what he leads into the games with. And I think that's where they're falling short. There's games where they show just signs of brilliance. They take Chiefs just to the absolute limit. They get to your Nexus and then throw it all away. And that's what they need to be working on is I think they can sort of understand that their players are good, but what's behind them just isn't working.
Yeah, it sort of feels like they have two fronts. They have like their impressive sort of solo laners who we say are pretty good for an OPL standard, and that they can often get those like small leads here and there, especially if they have good matchups or Luch just gets to farm for 35 minutes. But there seems to be a disconnect between like those carry sort of players and then like the supportive ones. So how the jungle and support are playing around the map, Seb and Rosie, and then how they're like, setting up their carries for success. There just seems to be a complete disconnect.
All right, cool. I want to talk about one of their carries because in my opinion, when Pabu burst onto the OPL scene, I talked him up a lot, so maybe a little bit of me biting my own tongue, but he was getting 120, 140 CS leads on Renekton. He was pushing into bases. He was looking great when he subbed in for TM. Now he's playing much more of a team role. He's teleporting early. He's trying to get around Summoner's Rift. Does he need to be more selfish? Does he need to be a Praedyth in TM's lineup and, look for the split pushing champions? Or is the team fighting the way to go right now?
I'm going to ignore that dig. I think he does need to find his own identity. He needs to the meta's good, right? We all know why the meta is. It's because it's the strongest champions in the current patch. But there's something to be said about finding your own identity in the game as well. And if you can't play the meta, which is going to happen every now and then to some players, you shouldn't just try and jam that square brick through a triangle hole. It's not going to work. Go back to what you're good at and let that work instead of just doing something that seems like is hopeless.
Saw a little bit of that last week with the AD Kennen game. That was a good performance. Do you think Pabu has what it takes to step up today?
I mean, I think it's definitely on how he uses his voice in the team, because we've seen that he can be a split pushing threat, but we've also seen that he can team fight here and there, and it's sort of just how his team uses him and how he wants to play. And I think that hopefully with this week off and they've had a bit more time to practice it out, maybe he has ironed out a few kinks and he can actually deliver today.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Just want to point out that his kill participation is actually 63, not 0%. That would be absolutely impossible. Abyss, whilst not playing terrific League of Legends at the moment, haven't not failed to pick up any kills, and that's the man on your screen. Of course, he's still in high school, and this is something I really find interesting. I touch base with him, how the work-life balance is going. He's doing less subjects this year. He did more last year. Of course, he's in year 12. Hope he's getting that balance right, because I think he has got future superstar potential, but I think that we lose sight every now and again that he is a 17-year-old that's flying in and out of Melbourne to Sydney every week and trying to do the best for his team. So we'll see whether he does pull it together. But another duo lane that I want to look at is over on the side of Avant Gaming, because Blinky and Jake are a very strange bottom lane. When they came into the OPL at the start of the last split, I thought they were terrific and their synergy was on point, but they've had some lackluster performances since then and maybe getting back to some form now.
Yeah, they're a hard bottom lane to read, right? Because they're never really in the conversation for the best bottom lane, but no one is ever looking at them necessarily to be like, oh, they're terrible and they're looking 7th or 8th in the league. I think that they really are the barometer of OPL bot lanes, and they're the sort of benchmark that we have to be pushing above them. If we're falling behind them, that's really quite indicative of your skill as a bot lane. And as their team, I'm sure you can attest to this, that it's you sort of really need to be pushing. They need to be pushing themselves a bit further because they want to be breaking into that top 3 sort of area.
Yeah, like I said before, they were screaming that they want to be that top 4 team, and it comes back to the inconsistency. You look at Blinky when he's on Kalista and you think that is a damn good ADC. He has the ability to fight for that position. Then you look at him when he's on Ashe. You're shaking your head a little bit. I think even you can agree that the difference between his Ashe and his Kalista is pretty substantial. You might still disagree that he might not be the best ADC, but it's all about finding what his strengths are and playing to those.
No, absolutely, I agree. I think I was probably maybe one of the first people to say it in his series against someone. He played Ashe, and I was like, ugh. And he played Caitlyn. I was like, actually, well, let's get this guy Caitlyn, put him back on Caitlyn, because on different AD carries he has looked quite a bit better, and Kalista is definitely one of them. When he can play with the team fighting, I think that's definitely his strength.
All right, cool. Let's take a look at Abyss's lineup quickly as we get into this game. It's going to be Pabu up in the top lane, their 17-year-old superstar. Seb is their jungler and captain. In the mid lane, it is Luch, who was supposed to come in and carry this split. See if he can do that today. Of course, Raid is their curly haired AD carry. He has one of the best haircuts in the whole of the OPL. Rosie is their support, formerly of Tainted Minds when they were known as that. And of course, they have Coach Drac behind them on stage today, helping them put together the picks and bans in what is a very murky 7.14 patch. You got to play on it yesterday. Is it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
I don't know if it's as bad as I thought it would be. One of the issues is just the amount of time we had to play on it and prepare for it in terms of solo queue and scrims. and then transitioning onto stage. So sometimes we get a bit more time to test things, and this is one of those times where they made a lot of changes. We had not enough to test, and so yeah, there are things that definitely took everyone by surprise.
Yeah, like almost every champion that can build Duskblade becoming relevant. That's pretty important, right? So that might impact later today in the Regicide series. I'm not talking about that now, but it's a substantial thing for top and mid, which is going to be pretty impactful when we want to talk about Luch, who was meant to carry them. Is that going to benefit his champion pool?
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see because he is more of a mage player, not an assassin player. However, let's take a look at AV Gaming's lineup as we bring it up onto your screen. It is going to be Series up there in the top lane. We haven't spoken about him much, but has had a reasonably solid season so far. Of course, Sybil is their jungler. Very up and down performances out of that man on your screen. Triple is their rock in the mid lane. Of course, it is going to be the Bash Bros of Blinky and Jake down there. They're one of the bottom lanes that I'd say that the sum of the parts is much greater than the individual players. I like it when they're playing together. And of course, they have Pinch standing behind them. The Renekton connoisseur of old loves that pick there up in the top lane. This is an interesting game. I think that people are going to be pretty divided on this one. Maybe Avant are clear favourites. I want to get your predictions before we go in. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, my thoughts are that Avant are probably the favourites, and I think that they should be taking this one probably 2-1. I think that similar to Sin, they're not the cleanest of teams and they're prone to making mistakes, but they are the better team for today.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. EV have shown that they are a step ahead of Abyss. Abyss have been lackluster, disappointing. There's many words you can use to describe them, but just not good enough. And I think EV are going to prove that and take it 2-0.
All right, well, see whether the people at home agree with you as we bring up the predictions. Is AV going to run away with a 2-0 victory and have a nice Maxigon for dinner tonight? People at home actually thinking it's going to be a 2-1. So everyone kind of agreeing. 78% of people saying it is going to be Avant. But 51% think it is going to go to that 3
Yeah,
games.
everyone's hanging out in Camp Jish. The
certainly
2-1
are.
for AV.
Of course, that is powered by Uber Eats. However, guys, we want you to join the conversation. Tweet at us, at OPL. Use the hashtag IamOPL. And today we want you to ask in particular about what this tank meta is all about. We've got two of the brightest minds. One a support player, so we'll see whether he has anything on, the Brahms, the Tom Kenches, maybe a little bit of Blitzcrank. Then, of course, Jish, the coach of the Chiefs. However, I think we are just about ready to get into Champions League. So we're going to throw it to our shoutcasters. It's going to be Fish in Egypt.
Thank you very much, Spawn. I'm Matthew Stewart. Joining me is Bryce, Ejim, Paul. And the training wheels are off, Ejim. No more Jake Spawn to be here to take you through it. You're just here alone with me in the cage.
Me and you, we don't have a small, now blonde man with a perfectly sculpted beard and glasses standing between us. So as you say, yeah, just me and you sitting back behind the caster desk watching this game today.
Can't tell if you were trying to compliment his beard or insult the
It was a
young
bit of
man
a,
there.
what's it, like negging when you give him a compliment, but I also called him short. So you know what I mean? It's like a bit of both worlds. Give and take.
You're trying to get on his good side somehow there, but we're about to get into the first match today. It's going to be Abyss taking on Avant, and these two teams, there's been a small rivalry between them historically. They've always been, middle of the table.
Yep.
AV recently have been coming out on top, and they're now top 5 of the OPL at the moment, contesting for that gauntlet run. Abyss looking like they're trying to get back there again. They haven't had the best split so far.
And it's pretty interesting because, as you said, these are two sort of middle-of-the-pack teams sort of thing, right? But Abyss going into every game, in all their interviews, in the pre-game talks, that sort of thing, they always seem to be talking a lot of fire. They're like, damn, we shouldn't be dropping games to these teams. We should be beating them. But when I talk to other players and other analysts around the OPL, like, they're the only ones that say that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, talking to other analysts, they don't think that Abyss should be beating AV. As you saw by the desk just then, their predictions and the fan votes at home, AV should be winning this one up today.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if AV can pick up the win. A lot of people back at home think it's going to be a 2-1 going to AV. They still think Abyss have the chance to take a game here. But a couple of the bans have already come through for both these teams. Jason Karzik still hitting the bench with Galio as well from Abyss.
Ooh.
That's Elise, Caitlyn, and Zach Bender AV, and an instant lock-in of Cho'Gath for Abyss.
And this is patch 7.14 coming into fruition right here. The Jace ban first from Abyss. Claire, don't want to talk too much about our series yesterday. We had a very good Jace performance in the first game. And as you see, first pick Cho'Gath. It's pretty interesting when these kind of legacy champions come back into the meta. We just haven't seen Cho'Gath and the likes of Maokai and possibly Sejuani for so long, right? They're just these potato tanks with a lot of CC that haven't been around for a while. And then the Cinderhulk buffs, with all the other changes in 7.14, you're seeing them all come back.
Yeah, we saw a 5,000 health Cho'Gath yesterday. It was pretty obnoxious to watch.
Cho'Gath with the gargoyle plus just nom combo is pretty obnoxious. As a support mate, I'm running around with my 1.5k HP and I just get insta-gibbed by the Cho. But as we did see the Caitlyn ban from AV, and they do choose to lock in the Varus, which is an interesting choice. Zaya is still up, and so is the Rakan. So I'm assuming Abyss are going to take that one away right now.
Jin left up as well, but neither team going for that pick. We saw Sybil pick up Sejuani last week to great success in the game they played against Direwolves, pick up the victory there. And a Maokai being locked in for Abyss with the Cho'Gath. One of these has got to go top lane now.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a few support Maokais, like the Thunderlords doesn't proc in his E nowadays, but Rosie is always the kind of player that he doesn't quite play the meta. He can play the champions, he's a very good individual player, but he always wants to be the hipster that's like playing the slightly different things. As we do see the Trundle lock in. We haven't seen too much of him yet, but stylistically in this meta with a lot of tanks running around, his ultimate just shreds their resists and does a lot of work for your team.
Yeah, makes that Cho'Gath surprisingly tiny after he pops the ultimate on towards him.
And one small thing for Abyss, I'm actually surprised they took the Maokai there. I would have liked to see them take the Rakan, because if you've already picked Cho'Gath, you assume that is going into the jungle, and AV have already picked up the Sejuani for Sybil, so it's not very likely that the Maokai is going to be taken off the table in the second phase of ban. So now the support champion pools potentially get banned away. The Trundle, I guess, could be a bit of a flex, can go in the top lane, can go in the support lane. But I would have liked to see them pick their support there.
I mean, we can see the flex from Sejuani as well. Has been played top lane previously when she was first reworked and brought back into the meta. Recently, Sybil has been picking up that champion, especially with Center Hulk buffs and the changes that have been made recently. That should be where we see it, but we'll have to see later on in the match. So far, though, AV very focused on banning out mid lane champions towards Luch, with Cassiopeia and Syndra taken off the bench. Abyss will ban out Talon to kick things off.
So we're not probably going to see anything too spicy in the mid lane because, yeah, the 7-14 lethality champions, Talon and Jace, are already banned away, as we see Luch on your screen, but no supports have been banned in this game, so the likes of Thresh, Ali, Tahm Kench, all the tanks are still up, Braum, as they do ban away the Rakan, and they've got the Zaya. That's a very interesting choice there.
Perhaps thinking that Sirius is going to be playing Trundle, top side of the map.
And honestly, I would expect them to pick their mid lane. There you go, with the Corki, right? Which means the Rakan ban doesn't make too much sense, because it's very likely that in this situation, AV are going to blind pick their mid lane and hold the Trundle flex, right? They're flexing the Trundle from the support from the top lane. So they're going to blind pick mid and then get the counter pick with that flex, but they do ban away the Rakan, so now they can't pick it up on the side of Abyss. Interesting to see what Rosie pulls out.
Yeah, opens up the counter pick for Abyss as well into the mid lane against Triple. Cassidy has not been banned and historically does well into the Corki and is instantly locked in by Luch. Now waiting for that final pick. Abyss, they have to show their hand. Is this going to be a Maokai support? I mean, way back season 2, season 1, we've seen Cho'Gath support too, so you never know.
I think the most likely thing is a Maokai jungle and a Cho'Gath top lane. I feel like we have seen more Cho top than Maokai top on this patch, and mind you, we haven't had a lot of competitive games seen around the world. We had LCS this morning, and so potentially that goes in the top lane, but he does lock in the
Rosie Bard.
The Rosie Bard. Does he build a rapid fire cannon?
Oh, you've already said he's an interesting man.
He just gave us the eyebrows. He's going to build a rapid fire. I guarantee you right now, somebody made a joke.
Oh, let's see how that goes. Rad in the bottom lane with Zaya, and that's a Wukong being picked up by AV.
Did you see Rosie's eyes just light up?
What is going on?
So that was the Trundle flex. So they're putting Trundle into the Bard in the bot lane, unless it's going... No, not going jungle. So Wukong is a counter pick to Cho'Gath top. That is weird.
This is interesting.
Wukong, okay, in all honesty, in my opinion, Wukong is the scariest champion in League of Legends. He gets to mid-game, and I guess on this patch, right, like I haven't thought about it too much, the lethality changes. He can build a lot of damage. He can be one-shotting people all over. But in terms of one-shot potential, Zaya as an AD carry, pretty safe. Wukong has one combo. He's going to dash in, blow his ultimate, and then look to run around your team. Zaya can just hit him with the ulti and then be invulnerable for a while, so fairly interesting.
Wukong always thrives in these metas where you can build either towards armor penetration or tanky stats. We've seen both versions of Wukong competitively, but it's been so long since we've seen the Monkey King in the meta. And Sirius is playing him top lane into a Cho'Gath, another champion we expect to go into the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, it's just actually just been a very interesting draft from both sides. We saw the flexes on either side, as we saw, with the Trundle, the Wukong counter pick. I guess that's why they blind pick the mid lane there. Blind pick a fairly safe, not too fancy matchup with the Corki, and they pull out the Wukong out of absolutely nowhere.
You know, maybe throw him in the mid lane, potentially go up against Lucian to Cassidy, bop him with the big Wukong stick. But it's very surprising, and we mentioned this yesterday on the desk, how it's a brand new patch. A lot of things have been shaken up, and the coaches really have to read the meta correctly. Seems like Pinch thinks that lethality top lane Wukong with a Trundle support is the right way to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it was something that just mentioned on the desk there. Like, as you say, that these teams haven't had a lot of practice, right? So nobody has practice against Wukong. I don't even see Wukong in solo queue, let alone scrim sort of thing. So going into this, there's just... These games are this week probably looking to be very messy, just because it's quite a new patch, lots of changes. Cho'Gath, Maokai, Wukong, Sejuani, Trundle support, Bard. Like, these are not well-refined strategies, and they're fairly all over the place.
Yeah, there certainly is. But for now, let's check in with Spawn, who's standing by with Abyss's coach, Drak.
Hey guys, I'm standing alongside Drak, coach of Abyss Esports. Thanks for joining us. Want to ask about your preparation going on to this, because big patch change, and obviously you guys scrim a lot at night time. How was the prep for this?
It was a hectic week because we're coming into the double header with a brand new 7.14. So many changes with lethality and all the tank buffs as well. So we had to do a lot of scrimming in a very short period of time. So very hectic.
All right, and cool. Obviously a must-win game, this one for Abyss Esports, to start clawing it back. What do you think of the draft? Do you think you got the upper hand here? Did you see the Wukong coming?
We sort of talked about whether or not they're going to flex it. Honestly, we thought they were going to put the Trundle top. So the Wukong flex was nice at the end. It was one of the last lethality sort of users that were viable. So it was a good pick.
All right, cool. And Rosie Bard, I mean, contentious pick. Are you confident in him? Is there a rapid fire cannon coming? Is it going to be a little bit more standard?
I have a tremendous amount of faith in Rosie's Bard, and if he wants to build rapid fire, he's allowed to.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for the interview. Best of luck for you guys. We'll
Thank
throw
you.
it back into the game.
That's a mistake. Allowing Rosie to build rapid fire cannon, getting your coach's blessing.
Yeah,
Whoa.
he has so much freedom. If I asked to build rapid fire cannon on any champion, like I could play MF and be not allowed to build AD. So.
Well,
rough life.
We'll have to see how that one goes later on in the match. For now, though, Seb getting a enormous leech from his saplings there. You can see how Maokai coming back into the jungle. That's what we used to see when Odd One made it quite standard a long time ago.
A long time ago. That was back with Oracle's Elixir and Moby Boots Maokai. He was the squishiest jungler in the game, but did a lot of work. And AV's bot lane did leash for Sybil in the jungle. They leashed the blue buff. They knew they have the melee into range matchup, Trundle into Bard, so they're going to get pushed in anyway. They can't really contest the wave level 1 and 2 in either sense, so might as well give your jungler a little bit of a hand and possibly clear a bit faster than the Maokai.
Yeah, meanwhile, topside map, Pabu on the new Cho'Gath, whose Vorpal Spikes only come out every slow every 3 auto attacks. Sirisu doing a good job so far, training quite effectively. It's a very tanky Wukong to kick things off. We'll have to keep track to see if he can move towards more of a lethality route, if he does go towards pure tank stats.
And in this matchup, I know it's a bit of a wild card, and I'm not sure how the Wukong Cho'Gath matchup is traditionally meant to play out. But with Sejuani, Sybil on the Sejuani red side pathing from bot to top, and Seb doing the opposite. If there's too much of a chunk onto Pabu in the top lane, if they can look for that sort of, if Series can look for the aggressive trades and then get him low enough, there's potential for a dive. Wukong will pack quite a bit of a punch.
I mean, big reason why we used to see Cho'Gath play top lane back when the legacy players like Hotshot GG were playing him was because of his passive. Every time he kills a minion, he heals up a lot of health and mana as well, so very difficult to chunk him out. You can see he's doing just fine so far, farming closer towards his turret. We'll see Sybil finally move towards his red buff, slightly slower than Seb on the Maokai at the moment.
Ooh, and as we did see Seb walk into the bot side jungle for AV, place a bunch of wards, so they know Sybil's not down there. They know he's on the top side of the map, not sure whereabouts, but they know he's up that side. So Pabu looking to play it safe, full HP anyway, missing a bit of mana. As the bot lane for Avery are getting shoved in, as this matchup is meant to play out. Trundle not going to be able to contest Bard too much in the laning phase, but he does have a lot of gank assists. Bard is a pretty immobile champion when he's not standing next to a wall and he can't tunnel through it, right? And you can just pillar him. He has to flash if you have a jungler there ready to gank, and then the repeat gank is almost just too easy. You run it in with the exhaust, chomp him for the slow pillar. Should be dead.
Yeah, we'll have to see if a gank does come down from Sybil later on, because it is going very heavily to Abyss's favor to kick things off. Top side of the map, Pabu actually winning this trade against Series. You can see the sustain coming out from Cho'Gath is rather strong. Forces Series back to base. We'll have to farm this wave underneath his turret before he can recall.
And they picked the Wukong into the Cho'Gath, and it already doesn't look too great. Pabu's absolutely, he's just chilling in this top lane. He's sitting on full health, half mana. Series blew all his mana there. Already gets a cheeky base off. Doesn't have to TP back to the lane, and Pabu's going to hold it there. As Seb was looking for something in the bot lane, potentially just allowing his bot lane to push in. They haven't seen Sejuani for a while, so they want to push up this wave, possibly reset the lane. It's a fairly gankable position right now.
We haven't touched on the mid lane just yet. Kassan against Corki. Since Corki's resurgence in the meta, Kassan has been such a strong pick just because now Corki does 80% magic damage on his auto attacks, and he already did so much more magic damage than physical damage before he was even reworked, when he was doing 100% AD damage. So Kassan makes so much sense now. His passive reduces a lot of magic damage, big
Cheeky
spell
magic
shield.
Yeah.
He doesn't even go for the Doran's shield. Luch goes straight.
Yeah, he's
the
very
ring.
confident.
Oof.
But they did get the counter pick, so he does know this matchup well. And Luch is a star player for Abyss, so giving him the counter pick into AV, you look at Luch and Pabu to be the strongest players on the Abyss lineup. They mentioned it on the desk. They are the carries, with Seb helping that in the top lane as he's about to walk into a ward, I think, in the top river. Seb's walked into both side lanes now and not found too much of anything, but...
Ooh, hello, Luch. Careful, that's the turret.
Yeah.
Still does a lot of damage to Triple, and might actually force the Corki back to base here. So very confident man, Luch, and Kassan gets the ball rolling nice and early. Farming up a storm against the Corki. Corki even forced to pick up teleport into this matchup instead of the usual exhaust.
Yeah. Well, unless you're going to be able to force the Kassadin out of lane and potentially get some solo kills on him early or some cheeky ganks in there, you need a way. You know he's going to be taking a TP. There's not too much CC on the side of AV in terms of like an Asher. He doesn't need the cleanse or anything like that. So just looking to be able to match him in a side lane.
Meanwhile, these two junglers are just farming laterally at the moment. Sybil is slightly ahead in experience and has the Balmy Cinder picked up, whereas Seb went for the Tracker's Knife nice and early.
I've discovered the worst thing about patch 7.14.
Which is?
The games are slow to start, because when you look at the jungle, you have a Maokai versus Sejuani. They're both they're just wandering around.
Farming up.
Yeah, no, they're not even doing any of the work. The Cinder Hulk, the Balmy Cinder is going to do all the work for them. They don't even press their buttons. They get free damage on the creep.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, you can see Trundle using the pillar there, trying to block out Rosie, but it just takes a magical
That's
journey
a
back
lot
to
of minions.
safety. Blinky
Yeah,
I think he's going to take some damage in this bottom lane. He picked up Varus early on in the year and split one, and showed that he could pick up 3 different types of builds. With Lethality coming back, he'll probably do the exact same thing again. Go towards Lethality, Essence Reaver, or Blade of the Ruin King.
I mean, do you go for the poke build here? Against the likes of the Maokai and the Cho'Gath, they have so much sustain. Kassadin pretty mobile. I don't think it'd be too effective. He's going to need a way to shred the tanks. They do have a lot of backline dive, though, with the Sejuani, with the Wukong, so potentially they look for a poke build and play around series on the Wukong. But coming into this game, the patch 7.14, it kind of seems like Blinky's meta. He's a Legacy Kalista player, always been renowned for that champion. Oh, as
Pabu just wants to fight Series for a little bit here. Series goes back on in with the ultimate. Sejuani is coming, and Maokai's just behind Pabu. They've got to be careful. And that's disastrous. Pabu winning this lane incredibly well.
Yeah, this is the counter pick they had in here. It's just not turning out well for him. Already had to base earlier, blows his entire mana bar, blows his ulti there. Pabu's still absolutely chilling on full HP. Sybil was the reason he went in and actually used the ulti, because Sybil was shadowing behind him in the lane, looking for a potential lane gank, but Seb read it pretty well. He was already there, ready for the counter gank if it did go wrong, but Pabu, honestly, at this stage, probably could have 2v1 that. They wouldn't have had the damage to kill him.
Probably. He just does too much damage at the moment with his Vorpal Spikes. You can see Series is building towards the lethality build on Wukong, but only has a single serrated Dirk at the moment. It is 10 CS behind Pabu.
Yeah.
Now tank Cho'Gath gets rather obnoxious as the game goes.
And speaking of the Cho'Gath, he has opted in for a... I mean, the Battlecast Cho'Gath skin, it's very popular. It's very popular, but it's too mainstream. You know, you gotta spice things up a little bit when you get to the OPL.
You've just insulted the producer's
he's in my ear.
The producer of the OPL's favorite skin. What have you done?
Oh well. Oh, as they're looking for a TP in the bot lane, they got a cheeky wall behind them.
Yep, Pabu's gonna try and jump in. Does get the rupture, but flashed away by Blinky.
Do they get the first turret though? They have forced them off the tower, but Pabu doesn't have the knock up right now, as they do just have to back away. Their wave wasn't crashed yet, so that's honestly just looks like a wasted lead for Pabu. They blow the TP. Series, they already had TP advantage. Series had to TP back to lane to even contest the wave sort of thing. So he now gets a free push, catches up in the CS difference. He was 10 down, as you said before. Caught right back up, got the wave pushed in, so kind of a blessing for him. And AV, all they had to do was blow a flash.
Yeah, botch play there from Abyss. Gives AV that breathing room they really needed. The only place that is still winning for Abyss at the moment is in that mid lane, which will still do a fine job into the Corki. Already accelerated into a Rod of Ages 9 minutes in the match.
Oh, that's is that early? That seems very early.
It's considered fairly early. We saw a 15-minute Rod of Ages last night.
Yeah. As we do see AV's bot lane have reset after that. They do go for the Vamp Scepter on Blinky. Both AD carries went for the Doran's Blade actually, which is in the Trundle Varus into the range matchup like the Bard. I would have expected him to go for the shield, but Blinky, absolute baller, just opts in for more damage, less sustain, not afraid of what the Abyss bottom lane can throw at him.
You can see just then in the mid lane, Luch takes a full spell rotation from Triple, and absolutely no damage comes through onto the Cassidy. And this is why Cassidy is such a strong pick into Corki at the moment. Hexdrinker even being forced out of Triple very early on, so respectful towards the damage output that Cassidy will be able to dish out now that he's level 8.
And whilst we have a lull, I just want to mention something real quick, Fish, all right? So a few people have been questioning my Alistar skin choices. And I just want to clear it up right now. Whilst both teams are just opting in for the Farm Fest, Wukong wants his lethality items.
Welcome to the OPL
Seb is looking for a gank at the top lane, but there is no tier list of Ali Mukau promo packs. Do you know why?
What is that?
Because every game when I pick that champion, I look at Quinn and I'm like, Quinn, what color is your skin? And then you pick the matching promo pack. So it's not about me.
It's about
not
synergy?
my choice. It's about synergy with your AD carry. So he picks up the Xayah, the Ali, Rock, and the Blue Ali. And if there's one, I haven't fallen into the trap yet. But if there's ever a situation where it doesn't match, you just pick the yellow one because you're an all-star. He's got stars all over.
Oh my goodness! I mean, you already do something really obnoxious, which is you just tap the bell once. You don't keep playing it.
Yeah.
That's a bit silly. Meanwhile, Luch will be able to
safe.
walk away from this. Sybil can't catch him out. Cassidy a little bit too slippery with blue buff. But so far, it's just been a farm fest between the two teams. Jake might be caught out here, takes a chunk of damage, but Sybil's close by. They may look pretty engaged without the ultimate, but Rosie just takes Magical Journey back to safety.
And we just have a very slow start to the game, and honestly, I think it's favouring the Abyss lineup. The Cho'Gath is just gonna sit in lane, keep farming up, keep getting those stacks, gonna get tankier. Maokai, honestly, a fairly squishy tank early into the game, but once he gets items, gets more and more obnoxious. And then you have the likes of Luch on Kassadin, who, I mean, he's very happy to just be sitting in this matchup, just farming away. Got a slight CS lead in the mid lane, but both teams, I think, now have tried to make something happen in the bot lane, but both teams have flubbed on the execution. We saw the ulti out of Sybil there, catches Rosie a bit too late, gets over the wall, and from Abyss earlier, we saw that TP play behind the turret not come up with any of the goods. So
Parva's TP still slightly off cooldown at the moment. Luch still holding on to his triple has one as well, but as you mentioned, nothing happening between the two teams. Shake even looking to see if we can get a cheeky initiation going in the bottom lane. Sorry, they do lock down both Blinky as well as Jake. Good damage come out of Raid. Temper Fate will lock down the AD carry to kick things off. Jake pops his ultimate, trying to charge back in. Blinky misses his own ultimate, and Sybil's trying to charge on in. Jake very low, has to be careful. Ultimate thrown out by Raid. He doesn't get Jake, but Maokai comes in as well. Knocks back Blinky, picks up first blood, throws out the root. Can't catch him though. The Saplings will continue charging, slows them both down, but still. Big trade in the bottom lane in favor of Abyss.
Yeah, and that was just great play out of Abyss's bot lane. And they were going to win that strictly in the 2v2, and both junglers had a good read on the situation. We're both floating into the river. Maokai does get there first and cleans up the kill for the first blood. But that was just great play out of Raid. He flashes with the ulti to try get the root onto Jakey, but he flashes away. Blinky, a little bit of a flub on his ultimate there, but it's looking like it's going to net Abyss the first tower gold in the bot lane.
Yeah, Abyss looks to try and take that down. At the same time, Pabu forced series out of lane. He had to teleport back to the outer turret in the top lane, which is almost being taken out as well. So Abyss storming onto the Rift, starting out this game incredibly strong.
Considering Series has TP'd back to lane twice now, and Pabu's actually TP'd into the bot lane, had to reset, as we are looking at the game face of Raid there, potentially during the 2v2 there, bit panic in his eyes, but yeah, Pabu's sort of given Series a little bit of leeway in this matchup, and his turret is on like 2 HP.
It almost feels like you have to start questioning the draft from Avant here, because they've picked two solo laners that are losing outright into Abyss. They had the counter pick for Series. They knew that the Torghast should be going towards top side of the map, but they still threw the Wukong top lane anyway. And it's not working. Meanwhile, mid lane left Cassidy open while picking Corki, which we've seen as a disaster in the OPL so far. And they've caught out Sybil here. Looking to lock him down. They knock him away from the blast cone, further back into the base. He will charge further forward, smites out the blue buff to stay alive a bit longer. Does the do-si-do, gets around. Can he charge out? He's trying to stand his ground. Pillars there. Not enough to keep him alive. Luch gets another kill.
And they were setting up for that proactive play. AV were on the offensive there. They're looking for the pick onto Luch as he goes over for the blue buff. Series was already hovering down from the top lane, had pushed in the wave, but they knew he was there. Maybe they had the ward. You can see it on the left of your screen there. They saw him sitting there, and they all collapsed from the side. Sybil whiffs the ulti. Bit of a disaster for AV there. And I do want to touch on something. You mentioned that the counter pick and the Wukong in the top lane isn't working out too well for them. Jakey on Twitter, or Jake rather, sorry, he said, all the OPL teams are playing chess, and I hope... sorry, no, I've ruined it already. All the OPL teams are playing checkers. I hope Abyss are ready for a game of chess tomorrow, but I don't know, the 4D chess, yeah, the Wukong top chess piece isn't looking very good.
So far, the Pabu piece of
just a
Cho'Gath looking to be much stronger than the Wukong. And speaking of top lane, that's going to fall as well. Rage rotates toward top side of the map with Rosie, picks up another turret. He's got 2 pieces of turret gold now, so should be quite accelerated on the Xayah.
And this is just nice, slow macro play from Abyss. They got the advantage in the bot lane, turned it into a bot outer turret for the first brick, and then they transition up top lane, find a pick onto Sybil, transition that into the top lane turret, and now they're looking for the Rift Herald, and it looks like AV just don't have an answer on the other side of the map.
Yep, well played by Abyss. So far, Drux's draft phase has looked solid for them in game 1 against AV. They pick up a Rift Herald as well. Seb will collect that, not doing the spooks and leaving it on the ground.
I don't want to talk about it. Why did you bring it up?
It's 2 Rift Heralds that he's had, which are absolutely atrocious.
I was saying before, Sam needs coaching in 2 things, in how to pick up a Rift Herald and how to hit a blasting plant. So many times I've been walking past, I've just been slapped over the wall by my jungler. Oh.
I think that's just you, though.
Yeah.
Not so much him not being able to hit blast codes, but it's Bryce.
I'm just in the wrong place at the wrong time, indefinitely.
But with that Abyss now, they've got 2,500 gold in the lead with Rift Herald in their back pockets. AV are going to try and take a consolation prize of the Mountain Dragon.
But as you say, it is just a consolation prize. Abyss are still up in the tempo. They got the Rift Herald. They're going to look to get a full reset, so they do concede the Mountain Dragon. But honestly, in a losing position, Mountain Dragon isn't too relevant. I guess it kind of works wonders in that you can sneak a Baron a little bit quicker, but their Baron damage isn't too high anyway. They don't have the likes of a Cassiopeia or a Callista to sort of rend it away. So Abyss just looking for the reset. They concede the Dragon, are looking to set up their next player.
That's aggressive from Luch, diving on towards Sybil. He can't be slowed as Sejuani.
And this is a winning game for Abyss. I'm interested if Rosie opts in for the
rapid fire.
Rapid fire, yeah. Where does he build it? Does he build it first item or like third, or is it a luxury, or is he just like, nah, I'm the carry now?
He's a unique man. You never know with Rosie when he's going to pick up a rapid fire cannon. Sometimes it's, you know, I've got 4 or 5 items and make it the 6th one. Sometimes it's I'm going to rush it and absolutely smack everyone with my meeps.
And Pabu has the push in the top side. He's rotating towards the red buff. Potentially after Kassadin, I would look for Pabu to go back up and push that push in the top lane, and then Kassadin push in this wave bot, and then look to rotate into the mid lane, and they want to break this mid outer turret with the Rift Herald, right? Maokai's hovering around. They're going to look for a fight, potentially look for a pick, drop the Rift Herald, break the outer, and break open the map.
Yep. AV do have quite a few members mid lane trying to defend against a push from Abyss. Pabu's even rotated down. Everyone from Abyss now moving towards the mid lane, except for Kassadin, who's split pushing on the bottom side of the map. They're going to lock down Ray, pops the ultimate very early, flashes out of the fight to kick things off. Seb throws out the ultimate. That's going to lock everyone from AV down. The root's too strong. Temper Fate getting 3 as well. Series has joined that fight. He's going to take it down really low. It will be Rosie that falls first, but Jake will fall slightly up. A double kill picked up by Rosie.
And Rosie comes up absolutely huge with that Tempered Fate there. Gets like a 4-man stun into the queue afterwards, locks them down. They get the 2 kills, drop the Rift Herald. As I was saying before, they're going to break this mid-outer turret and then open up the map. For their 1-3-1, they have the Cho'Gath in the side lane, they have the Kassadin in the side lane.
They're going for more. That's going to be a root coming out of the Maokai. Flash to the top of Blinky. Rosie goes on a killing spree as Bard. You should expect a rapid-fire cannon this game.
Absolutely, and that's going to be 2 turrets. Are they? Oh, no, they don't opt in. It does hit the turret, though. They do use the last proc of the Rift Herald to get a bit of a chunk before they reset, but this is such a good start for Abyss. And it was just like a slow, steady start, and they've been making the right decision, then looking for the catches, and they just found the team fight, wipe the floor with AV, and then get the free mid.
Yeah, there's a force fight out of AV as well. You can check out their initiation here. Blinky will throw out the ultimate towards Raid, and that's what kicks things off, but AV can't execute fantastically.
And Xayah is just one of the 80 carries that's so hard to instigate, because as you said, she was stunned by the Varus ulti, but she still gets her ultimate off as he lands the huge ulti there into the queue, insta-give onto Series and the Wukong here. And yeah, like Xayah is just so hard to pick individually, and she just lives for so long. Raid flashes away at the end, gets the root, and yeah, Abyss just roasted.
And one of the things we talked about, not only on the OPL, but the LPL as well, with these Bard picks, it's good into melee support matchups, but you'd have to be creative with the use of Temper Fate as well as the Magical Journey. We saw that from Rosie here.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the Magical Journey with the Maokai off to the side there. As he comes in from the side for the cleanup kill afterwards, they flash onto Blinky. So they get to push the Rift Herald into the inner turret. As they are just opting into their 1-3-1 again. Cho'Gath in the top lane, they don't have any TPs because they did use it for that mid fight and then to catch the wave mid so that AV couldn't get a return. Baron is spawning as we're approaching 20 minutes, and Abyss.
Yeah, Sybil wants to go for a fight. Going to try and lock down Raid. He throws out his ultimate very early and blast cones away to safety. Locks down Sybil, but he jumps further forward. Everyone's piling onto Raid. Where did he go?
Big pick out of there. Sybil, they burnt the ulti early out of the Xayah. Raid a little bit scared there. As Series gets the ulti. Is he caught?
Yeah, ultimate thrown out by Maokai. Locks them all down. Good damage on the Series. This is going to be enough. Rosie has somehow picked up a kill on the Series, and that will be a flash away from the Maokai. Pabu joins this fight. Will lock down a Sejuani. Eats him alive. Luch gets that kill. He wants to go on clean-up duty here. Blinky will be able to help Triple out, getting a kill for himself, but now there's a Cassidy on his face. Getting Rift walked all over. Double kill. Picked up by Luch. Still chasing down Jake. Rift walking again and again and again. Slapping away with that Starlight Blade. Silences him one last time, but he can't quite Rift walk one more time for the kill. Needs more mana. Not enough mana. Oh, mate, Luch to pick up that kill.
And AV, once again, Sybil in that bush, in the wolf bush, top side of the map for Abyss. Sybil is just sitting in there looking for the pick. He looks for Xayah, doesn't quite get it. That's the second time this game he overreaches, and then AV get punished. Choke, in theory, should be good for them. They have the Wukong ulti, they have the Sedge ulti, they have the Varus ulti to like spread over all the champions, but Abyss's side lanes, their macro is fairly good this game. They have the side lanes pushed in. As we get another look, Xayah blows the ulti early, and they overextend too much. They should have taken the small victory there, but they flash forward, gets the insta-gib, but this is such a good choke for Abyss to fight in here with the Maokai ulti right up here. Luch flanking on the right of your screen. He gets in the backline with the free access to the side as they're just kind of funneling forward, and Kyber with a flank as well. As we said, like, both their side lanes, the Cho'Gath and the Cassidy, just come in from behind, just absolutely clean up everything.
Yep, they do a good job here, Abyss. AV were the ones that tried to start the fight. Series did look rather threatening.
Yeah.
He did a lot of damage to the AD carry of Xayah, was able to return some damage on towards Pabu, but he just can't live long enough.
They just overreach and blew too many cooldowns on a Xayah who already used her ulti, right? She burned her major cooldown, and they flash forward with a Sedge ulti, flash forward with a Wukong ulti just to burn one person. And their team fight, they have to get the wombo off, right? They have the Sedge engage into the Wukong follow-up. Varus needs to be free hitting with the Corki damage as well. But they didn't get that. In these long extended fights, Cassidy, if he has the backline access, which he did there, is just going to be too scary for the likes of the Corki and the Varus.
And that Cassidy now has has the fully stacked Rod of Ages with Lich Bane, almost a fully stacked Ring as well, and that's Timber Fake being thrown by Rose. They call Blinky.
Does have flash?
Rupture comes out, everyone piles in. Easy kill onto the AV AD carry.
That silence was actually so well timed out of Seb there. Blinky had the flash, would have been looking for it over the wall, but just catches the millisecond where he doesn't cast it.
Again, using the macro journey, trying to catch someone from AV out instead. Abyss focused towards the mid lane inner turret. Series is still split pushing in the bottom lane, has teleport available if he needs to join this fight.
Do they have the wave clear? No, they're going to concede. It's already on almost half HP with the Rift Herald play early in the game. Probably can take this turret up there for years on the Cho'Gath. And they do Magical Journey away.
Yeah, they move towards the next Elemental Dragon. But Series has been caught out here by Luch. Takes a lot of damage. Fancies a fight, but he's low on mana. He's got to somehow get out of here. Will be spotted now, and that's the solo kill picked up by Luch.
Series is having an absolute shocker this game. His lane phase went really poorly, and he's just been picked left, right, and center now. And every time AV... They're losing in these team fights, and they're looking to punish on the other side of the map. Series didn't want to blow teleport to look for the defend on the mid lane, and he wanted to get some cheeky damage on the bot side of the map, but yeah, Luch just TPs down on the Cassidy and cleans up a free kill, and honestly, a lethality champion just falling further and further behind the tanks on Abyss's lineup. He's just not going to be able to do damage as this game progresses.
Almost feels like Pinch not getting the best read on the meta at the moment with this Wukong
well,
here.
You can't blame it all on Pinch. Well, it could have been Series' idea. I mean, I'm sure the players have
Put
some
me in,
input.
coach! I want to play Wukong.
Oh, potentially, if Pinch is, you know what I mean? He's like a dictator, whereas Drac is like, Rosie, yeah, you can build rapid fire cannon, that's fine, mate. Pinch is like, no, Series, you're playing Wukong. Actually, no, he has an English accent, so he's like, oh, I don't want to do it. It's going to be too, oh, no.
You've said you can, you said he's...
What's an English accent? He's like,
I don't know, you're meant to tell me.
Oh... I've choked, guys. I'm so sorry. Top of the morning to you, Governor. You can play Wukong? Oh, that was awful. I'm embarrassed. Anyway, back to the game of League of Legends.
One weekend without Jake Spawn and Tiberian, this happens. My goodness.
Could he do a better British accent?
I don't know. We'll find out next week.
Find out on the desk segment after this game.
So far in this match, though, it's a 5,500 goal lead for Abyss. Kick things off incredibly strong at the moment. AV need to find a way back into this game, but not many avenues for them to take back into this one. Sybil has got nice and tanky at the moment with his Warmox as well as Cinderhole complete, opting not to go for the Righteous Glory.
And Rosie has picked up the first item Redemption, but is sitting on a cheeky dagger as they're looking for Sybil here. He's not going to die, he's going to walk away.
That's going to be a rapid fire kind of coming out of Rosie shortly.
Oh,
Pabu pops the Righteous Glory, flashes forward, looks for Blink. He's got to dodge out both the Rupture as well as the Tempered Fate. That's a flash burnt by this Pabu.
They don't find the pick, and Blinky doesn't have to blow any summoners. Does blow the ulti, but pulled the trigger too early, I think, from Abyss there. They're looking to set up this Baron. They're putting Kassadin in the bot lane so he can split push. He will absolutely wipe the floor with Wukong, I think, right now. Wukong, as a split pusher, he has like one combo, right? Like he's gonna jump onto you, he's gonna burn the ulti, and if he doesn't kill you in that one combo, then like Kassadin's just gonna rift walk away. He's not gonna do too much to him. As you see him conceding the wave, he's just looking for a flank opportunity here. But yeah, as we said, Abyss are just, they need to be pushing their side lanes. Pabu needs to go at the top lane as Kassadin pushes in the bot and then collapse into this mid fight.
Instead, Sybil thinks he can fight the tankiest champion in this current game.
Well, they have series rotating, so they would win a 4v5.
He's going to go straight back down into the bottom lane, though.
Does not have TP at the moment, so.
Kassadin, though, he's got 3 items and a completed Dark Seal. Series just sitting on 2 lethality items. Zhonya's Hourglass was picked up by Loach, so Series has to be so careful in this one-on-one. The gold is just way too far in the Kassadin's favor.
And I don't know how this gets better for AV. I look at the team comps and Abyss just scales so much better, I think. Corki, as they do find a pick onto Sybil, gets away.
They lock him down, but look at the gold lead. 2,000 for the 80 carry. Mid lane is a 2,500 gold lead for Luch there. He's going to get jumped on by both Jake and Series. Series is out of mana. Luch has to be a bit careful. We rift walk forward again, waiting for the cooldown to come back up. Series forced to retreat, and he wins the 2-on-1. Gives Abyss access to Baron.
And yeah, Abyss is starting up the Baron already. Are they looking to back away? They are. But as you saw there, Luch can 2v1. Although it is only a support, you'd think that they would send someone with a bit more damage threat into the side lane, but potentially they're looking to shred his magic resistance, shred his armor, and look for the pick, but they just can't pick up the kill. And so the map kind of just resets again as we look for Luch to reset.
They're going for a pick again. Tempered Fate, did it land? Instead, Sem's going to flash forward straight on top of Blinky. Rosie does get the stun, and Luch takes him down over the wall despite the flash coming out from the 80 carry. That's one member down for Abyss, and they're still going to go for the fight. Pabu is going to try and jump straight on top of Series. Raid going to get taken down incredibly low. Heals up. Rosie goes on a killing spree with that pick. Luch is still in the back lines with Seb, and AV, they can't do anything at the moment.
And Series looked for a flank there. He TP'd into the Baron pit, but he doesn't have ulti, so he flash dashes to Raid on the Xayah, but then just doesn't do any damage. As Luch slightly gets caught out, but
no one on the current AV roster that's alive can do any damage to Luch. He's happy to take this fight right here. Now he's going to get taken down very low. Might have bit it off a bit more than he could chew. Everyone's flashing towards the Kassadin. He will get shut down, but at what cost? They peel off Baron. Might have been a good play coming out from AV. Pabu will be able to lock down one final member. Trundle's going to fall. Rosie's on a rampage. He's 6-0-6. He has the most kills in Abyss.
Abyss just, not even Abyss. Luch just played it way too greedy there. He used his Zhonya's in the bot lane when he got ganked by the Trundle, right? And so he's sitting in that bush trying to zone AV off the Baron. They only have a limited number of wards, and they had a pink in the pit, right? Like, you can just slow down the Baron, hover it at like 3k, 2k HP maybe, and then bait Sejuani to come over the wall and look for a steal killer and then pick it up. If they play it slowly. But Luch, I don't know, he's a big boy right now. He's got a couple of items in his belt, a couple of kills. He loses all his stacks on his Dark Seal and sells it immediately, but he just a bit too greedy there, and it does cost Abyss the opportunity of Baron, but they do still have the lead, so.
And they also have a Zeal on their support at the moment. Ejim, he's picking up that rapid fire
I'm not a fan, but
why not?
I can respect it. I mean, is it? I don't know. I feel like you just go for like the shift. Doesn't it just do more damage? What do you need a rapid fire for?
You extend your range.
No, but
throw
like,
meeps further.
Yeah, you can throw meep. I guess you can apply
harder.
the slow, but like your Q range is relatively short. It's like even to your auto attack range. So if you're throwing a rapid fire, they don't get the block.
AV, looking to try and force this. Right, just going to pop by Pabu.
Series doesn't have the TP, and he knows he can't match Kassadin in the bot lane, so they're looking for the pick because they know Abyss want to set up around the Baron, right? And AV are very aware of that. They pushed out the bottom lane though, so whilst they have this window where Kassadin is pushing into effectively nothing, they're just looking for a fight.
Series, in fact, going invisible there, trying to cut around the corner towards the AD carry. Instead, they catch out Maokai. Seb going to get taken out very low and falls. Good pick coming out from AV.
And Abyssa, as Series.
Yeah, Series engaging on towards Pabu, the tankiest member. He's okay for now. Temper Fate comes out, doesn't lock down Pabu. Series still going further forward. Raid throws out the ultimate. Good root onto 2 members. Series falls shortly after, and Luch joins the fight. Immediately pops the Zonius to stay alive. Redemption will come out from Rosie to keep him healthy too, and they're on the chase. Luch will slow down Triple incredibly well. That's just a 1-for-1 trade.
And AV just keep overreaching in these fights. They got the pick onto Seb. They picked off the jungler. You can use that to get control. You can use that to answer the Kassadin in the bottom lane, alleviate a bit of pressure as you farm up to your next item spikes. Varus is sitting on 2 items. The Corki's sitting on 2.5 items. They just need to farm up, and they need to be looking for their next item spikes before they can fight. But they just overreach again, looking to get the pick onto Pabu, the tankiest champion in the world of League of Legends, on the Gargoyle Cho'Gath, and they get punished again and lose another Ocean Drake.
Yeah, he's got a Locket of Iron Solari coming up as well for him. It's an Infernal Drake that was picked up there by Abyss. I'll be happy with that. 5,000 gold on lead with an Infernal.
Oh my god. I'm sitting here pointing at the rapid fire because he just picked it up, and Rosie has 6 kills. I didn't even know that.
He's 6-0-7.
He is popping. He is absolutely popping.
Oh, we'll have to see how much damage this guy's done later on in the match.
He was also, as we saw on the player cam, taking some notes from me. His head was inside. There we go. His head is inside the monitor right now. He's keen. He wants to slap some people with meeps. He's even got wings on his health bar. Look at that. That is a scary bar.
Yeah, it's a shutdown waiting to happen for AV if they can get a kill onto Rosie. But Abyss are in firm control of this match. Raid even has 3 items completed. Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer for Desire.
And as this game progresses, you're just going to see Series falling further and further behind in the split against the Kassadin. He's constantly grouping because AV know they're not going to win the split push, so he's missing the CS in the bot lane as Kassadin is pushing it in constantly and then looking to rotate after, so AV are just looking for these windows, and I guess they have found small opportunities, but as I said before, they just keep overreaching, and they keep forcing slightly too hard and then just getting punished.
Let's see what their next step is going to be, because AV need to make something happen at the moment. They are falling further and further behind. Abyss have firm control of this game. They're looking to take this one nice and slow, though. Everyone grouping up around the mid lane. Double teleport is available for both teams, but it's only Series that's split pushing at the moment. Abyss call the shots on towards the Baron.
And Sedge is pretty far away. They don't do it too quickly, though. They have a double tank lineup, and Kassadin isn't even hitting the Baron, so they're not going to be able to finish it before Sedge gets here. But
so they force a teleport coming out. Temper Fate only going to lock down Jake. Blinky's able to get out of that one, deal some damage to Pabu, but they lock down the support. First kill gets taken out there. Series in the back lines, pops the ultimate, gets a good one, but he's forced to flash away straight after that. Zonya's loose by loose. They catch Blinky. He's dead. Big pick from Rosie. Still looking forward to the magical journey. Clean up crew, incoming, double knockup. Series going to fall as well. That's a double for Gaston and a double for the Zarya as well.
And I guarantee you, Rosie is having so much fun this game. He gets the flash pick onto Blinky there, takes him over the wall into the follow-up. That whole fight was off his Bard ulti onto Jakey on the tunnel. Didn't have the flash to get away, so they just get the free pick, and they have the front line in the Cho'Gath and the Maokai that AV just can't get through right now. Series flashed over it and looked for access into the backline, but doesn't get his ulti off. Zarya uses her ulti to dodge out of it, and Luch just gets away. So as we see, Kassadin over the wall, looking to kind of zone them away as they start out the Baron, and Rosie's going to throw his ulti here. Catches just the very tip of Jakey, and then he just dies for free, basically. And look for this stun onto Varus on the right of your screen right now, and Luch answers so quickly. It's coming up in like 2 seconds right now. Luch uses the Zonyas. Out of that, immediately Flash blows him up. They take the Bard, Magical Journey over the wall. Just really nice team fighting out of Abyss. They know how they're playing their comp. They're looking for the picks onto carries, and they're just getting them, and they get a mid and hip turret.
Yep, incredibly well coordinated coming out from Abyss. They're now 10,000 gold in the lead over AV with a Baron buff to work with. Mid lane inhibitor turret has been taken down. Top lane and bottom lane outer turret still ready to be taken. You'd expect Abyss to make the way towards those objectives next.
Kassadin isn't a top lane. He does have TP. Pabu pops the Gargoyle. He is a tanky man.
It's a very tanky Cho'Gath.
He doesn't care.
No one can do any damage to him at the moment.
He doesn't have a Warmog though, so he's not just going to heal to full HP in 3 seconds after he walks away.
But then he kills a minion wave and he's back to full health again. Every minion he kills gives him 70 health and a big 20 mana.
And Kassadin just gets a free turret on the top side. They're just going to look to Opting into a pseudo 1-3-1. It's a bit of a 1-1-3 as Abyss set up in the bot lane, but Cho'Gath and Kassadin just pushing in the two other lanes. They're just applying a little bit of pressure to draw people to enter the side lanes, and the three here are just going to look to take free turrets.
We're just 5.5 items here, Legion. Just sitting on that easily large rod, waiting to pick up a death cap. He's a monster. No one can split against him.
And he has the Lich Bane, so he actually demolishes turrets.
He
if
does.
gets access to them.
Speaking of someone getting demolished, Sybil in trouble. Blinky has to be very careful not to get hit by any of these random skill shots. Ultimate thrown up a Sybil, locks down Parvo. He's going to take some damage. Redemption will come out from Rosie. Luch not here yet. Abyss just buying some time for their Castanet. Series wants to dive into the back lines, but he gets melted by the Cho'Gath straight away. Temper thrown out, forces a flash from Blinky. Meanwhile, their mid laner is dealing some work to the base of Avant as the top lane inhibitor turret has fallen. He's already on the inhibitor as well. Parvo trying to take up this turret, incredibly tanky, but he will fall after a couple more attacks. Abyss lose one member, but he get the base of AV.
Just walked up and chomped onto Jakey and then died for it.
Luch going 1-on-4 here. He'll get taken out. Can't use the Zhonya's in time. He was trying to be the hero that Abyss needed, but they don't deserve one right now because the base has been destroyed by Abyss.
Luch just absolutely suicides in that fight. Doesn't even blow the Zhonya's. I guess he was going to die anyway, but AV, they get a sort of engaged with the Sage ulti. They get off on the front line, but Abyss are just so tanky right now with the Maokai, with the Cho'Gath. They were just kiting back over their CC. It's so hard to get onto the Xayah, and Kassadin just wailed on the top lane turret. Speaking of tanking, how about that Asian World British accent?
That's coming in from Marawi tweets here today.
I don't like Marawi. I don't like Marawi anymore. I have like one saying. I can like, you know what I mean? Like when you think of a British accent, you can do the like top of the morning to your governor. But like when I was thinking about, what was I saying? Like let's pick Wukong. Like how do you?
You were trying to imitate Pincher's accent.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's too hard.
Goodness. You're an absolute one day without spawn, and this is what happens. It's an absolute disaster already. My goodness. But
TP
this game,
coming in.
a very one-sided affair at the moment for Abyss. Still taking it very slow. So yeah, Parvo did teleport in. Can't get anything out of it, but Abyss won't be too worried about that.
Another Infernal Drake spawning in 3 seconds, so the top lane is just going to passively push in. You see Abyss, they don't send any members up there because they TP Cho'Gath into the bottom lane. They're just, oh no, sorry, not Infernal Drake, it's Elder Drake actually, so AV have to contest it.
Parvo doesn't care. He just got engaged upon by Sybil, takes absolutely no damage, throws out another Rupture, gets 2 of them AV. Now AV turn around looking for it, but Temper Fate locks down both carries from AV. Rosie trying to go at the start, but Blinky almost dead already. Heals back up to half health, jumps off by the Cassidy, and now he's got his eyes set toward triple, but the front line of AV already destroyed. Series goes for another flank. He can't get anything out of it. Double kill picked up by the Cassidy. He's heading back to base.
And another really nice engage out of Rosie's Bard. He catches it onto Blinky, and then Jakey actually does a fairly good job. He body blocks for his AD carry, tanks the Bard stun so that Blinky doesn't immediately die, but the gold lead is just too much right now. The Kassadin is too strong. In these fights, they have no way to keep him off the backline. Series is diving forward, Sedge is diving forward. And so the Kassadin just gets free access to the backline, keeps picking up the kills, and in these long engages, he's just going to keep cleaning up.
And this should be gaining for Abyss, but they're not going for it just yet. Flash forward from Seb, locks down Jake. He's trying to flash out, but he just can't. Luch goes on a killing spree here. It's a 24 kill to 6 kill game, Ejim, and Abyss want to finish this one off.
Absolutely, looking strong. As the player cams come up, they're just going to wail away on the Nexus. Triple going to try his hardest, but he's not going to be able to do anything.
It's
here.
definitely not, and the Nexus is going to fall with that. Abyss pick up game number 1 over AV, stunning quite a few people back at home. Man, looking to try and pick up this series here as well.
Yeah, everyone, including me and the Death, said that AV were going to get the 2-0, the cheeky 2-1 maybe. So that's still on the cards as Abyss do pick up the first game, but they've taken a few notes from Legacy there with Raid and Rosie with the sideways fist bump after the game.
My goodness, but still, no one really expected that much, that big of a dominant performance, and it started from the draft phase. We mentioned already, they picked Corky blind with Kassadin left up. Kassadin got picked into it, did well in that lane, and the Wukong picked topside map, surprising everyone, and didn't do anything against Cho'Gath.
They pull out the chess piece in the game of checkers, and it just does not do anything. The Wukong did absolutely nothing. They lost the mid lane matchup because they blind picked, as you said, and it was just it was a relatively slow game from Abyss, and they played the macro quite well, I think. It was a slow start. They did fumble the bot TP dive early into the game, but then they pick it up, play a slow and steady game, take bot turret, take top turret, and they just kept picking up advantages all over the map and then turned it into a victory.
They did. They took it very slow and steady. It was 5,000 to 6,000 gold of advantage from 15 minutes in, but it was still a 38-minute game. Abyss trying to take the one nice and easy, and they did a fantastic job with that and pick up game number 1 over Avant. But for now, to break down that game, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thanks so much, Fish. I'm, of course, Spawn, joined by Coach Jish of the Cheese Esports Club, as well as T-Gun. He's a support, not the coach. Support of TN Gaming down the end of the desk. That was a pretty suffocating victory in the end by Abyss Esports. I mean, stunning people, but played a very clean game.
Yeah, 7-14 looks like a lot of fun, with like 12 tanks in the map. It was actually quite a good performance out of Abyss, and they did come to play today.
Yeah, I mean, spot on. I play tanks in the bot lane, but I'm not a fan when 4 of your 5 teammates are tanks. That's got to be crushing for EV. They looked pretty crushed on the player cams, and losses like that, where when they were behind 5k, you even said when we were upstairs that the game would have felt almost over to EV because trying to get through like a tanky choke at that point, Blinky hit him like 12 times in one fight and did like 50 damage.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I mean, it did look strange. However, before we get into the full pick bans, I want to shout out one player in particular. I have been very skeptical about Bard picks, and I know that Rosie is a big Bard player, but I feel like there are a couple of plays throughout the mid-game, Jish, where he really did the pick justice.
Yeah, so this was just like a nicely set up team fight, I'd say. Blinky starts the ult, starts fight off with the ult, sorry, and then Abyss just disengage, and then they get the re-engage. The Maokai ult comes through, and then they have a really nice tempered fade here from Bard as well. And Luch is teleported in. He's absolutely massive right now, and the useless chess piece there dies, and it's a really cleanly won fight from I want to say Bard, but no, from the whole of Abyss.
Yeah, and I mean, but this is what people like about Bard. He does something that no other champion can do. He puts a big stop time over the middle of a team fight, T-Gun, and then allows people to set up correctly around the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've also criticized Bard. I think there's almost always a better lane counter than picking him. But when you're really good at him, as Rosie is, you can pretty much be the deciding factor in a game like he was many times, especially in the mid-fight, later on in the game, also just catching people out and just forcing the issue constantly.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, just like, the proficiency he shows, or like he's like, the weird stuns he gets on like the side of walls and minions and champions, he actually has put a lot of time into that champion. He makes it look pretty good.
Yeah, I actually love the angles of his Tempered Fates that he was going for in the middle of the magical journeys he was going for to try and set those up. Another champion that we had that was very unique to this game was Wukong in the top lane. We have another replay. Wukong is designed to kill a person. He does it here, T-Gun. What else goes wrong?
Yeah, so here you see exactly why they picked Wukong. Raid just gets deleted from 60%, and this is not a fed Wukong. But Abyss do the right thing. They collapse, they extend the team fight, Luch finally gets there, Pabu comes from above, and all they do is just persist constantly. Great Tempered Fate again from the Bard, like I was saying, just constantly useful throughout the whole game. And all you need to do with a comp like Abyss's is make the team fight last forever. You have more health than the enemy, you're going to have more sustained damage, and there's just really not that much they can do once the burst is gone. How do you stop them? How do you stop this just very slow rolling boulder from just killing everybody?
I mean, we were talking about this, though. This seems to be two teams with two very different reads on the patch. We have one team going pure tanky, Cho'Gath, Maokai, and I know that you were saying, Jish, if that is the case, then lethality actually becomes useless. It's not a good stat to run into all these tanky members.
Yeah, so we saw that the Varus priority from Avant, and we're all, okay, maybe, Blinky's going back to his lethality Varus, but into the massive front line that, Abyss were picking up, it's kind of useless, and he ended up forcing the Bork build, I believe. We saw in North America as well, the Jhin picking lethality Jhin into tanks, it seemed so useless.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that lethality became such a big thing was because they were assassins. They would just kill all the squishies. You even saw it with Wukong. He's basically an assassin. He just kills a squishy. But when there's no squishies, they feel just absolutely pointless.
And that's what I want to talk about. Let's pull up the last replay that we have, because really, we have a team fight here where it's just the tanks executing time and time again. And with so much CC, you have to play perfectly or you die.
Yeah, no, so it really is just like CC is the name of the game at this point. So Rosie lands another good ultimate to start the fight off, and you just watch like 12 seconds of CC layer on top of Jake, and he gets to do nothing. Raid gets to dodge out a bit of the series' engage, and then off on the side of the screen as well. Rosie lands another good stun. Luch is on top of him. Flash the wall here, land a 2-man knock up, another stun again, and the team fighting coming out of this side it's been very good.
And the biggest thing for me was Blinky dodges the first two. He dodges the Cho'Gath Q, he dodges the Tempered Fate, he gets zoned a little bit. He puts about 15 auto attacks in, as you said, T-Gun, gets hit by one Bard Q and absolutely gets blown up. I mean, how hard is it to play support and AD carry on this patch right now?
It's not fun. Especially when things like Wukong can delete your ADC and tanks don't even care about your ADC. It feels a little bit of just, what do you do until 5 items? You're just trying to protect this person that can't really do anything. But once they do get to that 5-item stage, which Blinky was approaching by the end of the game, the tank stopped mattering. You saw he was building Bork early instead of going the Essence Reaver build, because to get through that tanky front line, he's going to need like just a lot of. He needs Bork. He needs probably Mortal Reminder. He's going to just need.
He needs
so
a
many
lot,
things.
really. He needs a lot. And the tanks don't, right? They're like 1-2 item, and then they just feel unstoppable.
Yeah, and that's the case. And I want to draw your attention to the draft, because there's one criticism I have, and that is it looked like they had the counter pick already locked in with Trundle. I was very excited to see a top lane Trundle go into Cho'Gath or Maokai. Historically has done well. Is this just a pre-prepared cookie-cutter draft that they've committed to too hard throughout the stages, or was there method behind this madness?
I mean, it's really hard to tell, because I don't like to write off a draft based on just the one game, because maybe they have had a lot of success with it. But from our perspective, it does look quite interesting that they get to lock in one champion in Trundle that answers both of the potential top laners if it was Cho'Gath or Maokai, and then they do end up going to that flex later, and they put it support and they get the Wukong. But I would actually have rather them saying to keep the Trundle there, and then maybe keep Wukong for game 2. Like maybe when it's a more opportune time to pick it, they pull it out then.
Well, I'm not gonna disagree with a coach already criticizing a coach, but to me it did feel like you said, like they just came in with a plan and stuck to it. When, from my eyes at least, Trundle going top would have solved a lot of the tank issues as opposed to just throwing it support.
I want to play devil's advocate quickly, because in the past we've said, if you're a pure tank, things like Maokai have been abused by scaling top laners. Historically you were able to put nearly anything into the Maokai. Gangplank was the most famous champion that you could just put up there and wait to him to get to 4 items. Is that no longer the case because of tank itemization? Is it too hard to just run scaling into tanks and be able to take over, when you get towards the 4 or 5 items, if he had played that top lane a little bit better?
Yeah, so I think at the moment, that differs from past is that a lot of the tanks currently, like Cho'Gath, is quite a threat early, and his laning isn't that bad. So Maokai often gave away a free lane phase, and it was something that you could scale through. Whereas now I think that some of these champions, they pack a bit more of a punch, especially if they can set up ganks like the Cho'Gath can, I guess. That you can't just necessarily pick like a free scaling thing in all situations, I guess.
Yeah. Again, I don't really want to disagree with you. You're much smarter, especially.
You're allowed to disagree with me, Jacob.
Not with top lane. You've seen me play top lane.
I loved it.
It's
it was
not
great.
Pretty. It's not pretty.
Best Nautilus on the server.
But you're pretty spot on. Just the fact that they can scale quite well by building tanky items. We saw Pabu had, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like he had Righteous Glory, Stone Plate, and then he was just going to lock it.
No, exactly what he built. Yep.
And you don't need AD items on Cho'Gath. You just get 5k, 6k health, and you one-shot people with the ultimate.
Well, there you go. We see it right there. I mean, he's built no damage items. He's done more than the full damage Wukong, and absolutely run amok on this game. However, do want to draw your attention to the fact that Luch in the mid lane, when Kassadin's topping damage charts, and it's not the incredibly long game, you know that he's been gifted that free ride, and that is the case against Corki a lot of the time at the moment.
Yeah, definitely around the world, seen as a pretty favorable matchup. Maybe not impossible, but just one of those matchups where it just feels so easy for the competent Kassadin player to just abuse the magic shield and get through this the free lane with the teleport, and eventually level 9 and pushing forward, he just comes such a big threat.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on something else as a support main. The Bard out damaging the top lane Wukong. I need to highlight it because I'm a hopeless shield. I might not like Bard, but I love when supports do lots of damage. And Rosie, I don't like rapid fire cannon, but I mean, he did work, right? So
yeah, no, he did. And he built a Kindle Gem towards the end, and I was like, is he going to go Proto Belt or something? Sadly, he went Knight's Vow, which was a bit boring. But no.
Sadly.
Well, I mean, it would have been more exciting to see a Proto Belt Bard.
I mean, at one stage you were 6-0-6. I feel like when you get that far ahead, you're allowed to build whatever the heck you want on support. At least that is the theory that I have at home. Don't know if you agree there, T-Guard.
So can Ejim do that if he's
I'm staring at
super
Ejim right now. No.
Absolutely not. However, we do have a tweet that we want to bring up onto your screens. We are asking our analysts anything they want about the tank meta right now. So we have a tweet that's coming in, once again, from Medic for the win. And he says, who is the best tank on this current meta, and why is it?
Yeah, I'll throw my hand in the arena. I don't think that we have one single best tank. Sorry to, not give you an answer just to, win solo queue. I think that there are a couple tanks right now that seem really good. And that's, firstly, Cho'Gath looks really good just on, how his ult scaling works and, the items right now. He's item build with Locket and Stoneplate makes him really strong. I think the Maokai is really good in jungle as well because has a pretty decent clear. Sejuani and Zac still seem quite strong as well. But yeah, I'd say those four definitely feel like the strong ones at the moment.
I'm not going to sit on the fence. I will give you one best, and it's Cho'Gath. I think that the fact that if it gets to late game to the point that he has Stoneplate and he has a bunch of health, he can flash ult someone for roughly 2k true damage. That's annoying. All right, I barely get 2k health in a game on most of my champions, so I have to just stand a screen away from the guy if he's fed and just pay a lot of respect. So if you do want to just main one champion in solo queue, do it with Cho'Gath.
Yeah, and I'll throw my hat into the ring. And I think that right now, in solo queue only, pro play there are definitely counters. You can get through a lot of lanes as Alistar, and he can have so much impact in the early game. And all of his build paths have cooldown reduction now. In the past, none of his build paths had cooldown reduction, and it sucked. Now you can get towards 40% very, very easy. However, guys, we are about to get into game 2. But before we get there, let's take a look at this highlight reel.
Has to be careful. Ultimate thrown out by Raid. He doesn't get Jake, but Maokai comes in as well. Knocks back Blinky, picks up first, but throws out the root. Can't catch him though. No, Seb throws out the ultimate. That's going to lock everyone from AV down. The root's too strong. Temper Fate getting 3 as well. Series has joined that fight. He's going to take it out really low. It will be Rosie that falls first, but Jake will fall slightly up. The double kill picked up by Rosie. And Habu joins this fight. Will lock down a Sejuani. Eats him alive. Luch gets that kill. He wants to go on cleanup duty here. Blinky will be able to help Triple out, getting a kill for himself, and now there's a Cassidy on his face, getting rift walked all over, double kill, picked up by Luch. Sonya's loose by Luch, they catch Blinky, he's dead. Big pick from Rosie, still looking forward to the magical journey. Clean up crew, incomer, double knocker, Series gonna fall as well. That's a double for Cassidy, and a double for the Zarya as well. Rosie trying to go in the stun, but Blinky almost dead already. Heals back up to half health, jumps off by the Cassidy. Now he's got his eyes set toward Triple, but the front line of AB already destroyed. Series goes for another flank, he can't get anything out of it. Double kill picked up by the Cassidy. The Nexus is going to fall with that Abyss. Pick up game number 1 over AV, stunning quite a few people back at home.